Swadika, thank you for joining us on Newsline for Tuesday, January 28th of 2014. My name is Sandra Hanud Saha. In today's top stories, the People's Democratic Reform Committee, or PDRC, has petitioned the civil court for an order to have the emergency decree withdrawn. And in business news, the price of pork in many provinces has gone up due to a slowdown in pig growth and a shortage of pork supply. And now on to today's headlines. The Election Commission has reiterated calls for a new election date as it is set to meet with the Premier today. Election Commissioner Supachai Somjaran said the agency is holding a meeting on Monday to schedule a new date for the general election before the talks with Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra. Mr. Supachai said he doubts whether the Premier and her cabinet will agree to issue a decree to set a date for the polls. He expressed his concerns that if the February 2nd election were to be held under the current circumstances, violence would escalate. The EC vowed to shut down polling stations that have been disrupted by protest groups. The Center for Maintaining Peace and Order, or CMPO, said the EC was to blame for advance voting around the country being canceled in more than 10 provinces, including Bangkok. The EC earlier announced that 89 of the 375 constituencies nationwide were closed during advance voting on Sunday. The Center for Maintaining Peace and Order, or CMPO, has announced 4 measures to be implemented in order to assist citizens who have been affected by the ongoing protests. It has also warned companies financially supporting the People's Democratic Reform Committee, or PDRC's movement, to be aware of the consequences. According to Department of Special Investigation, or DSI Chief Tarit Pengdit, in his capacity as a member of the CMPO, all members have had a meeting and come up with 4 measures to ease the tension from the months-long protests. The first measure allows those affected by the PDRC protests to file complaints at nearby police stations around the clock and submit the documents to business operators to request for the postponement of their payments. The second measure requests the cooperation from the private sector to assist those affected by the prolonged protests. The third focuses on warning various business owners who are assisting the PDRC by providing money, vehicles, or shelter to discontinue or refrain from doing so, as the act is deemed unlawful under the emergency decree and money laundering regulation. The last regulation involves the media. Broadcasters are requested to stop reporting news leading toward instigating violence or leaning toward the PDRC. Army Chief General Prayut Chan-o-cha is asking the Center for Maintaining Peace and Order, or CMPO, to draw up stricter security measures in a bid to prevent all violence from happening. In the wake of the murder of an anti-government protest leader, Sutin Tharatin, the Army Chief has voiced his condolences for the death and his concern for the CMPO's security measures, calling on the agency to tighten security both during the day and at night to prevent this kind of incident from recurring in the future. He said that he did not want such an incident to lead the already worsened situation to a new level of conflict in Thailand, and expressed his belief that the police would be able to bring the shooter or shooters to justice as soon as possible. Mr. Sutin was shot in the head and in the chest on Sunday when violence erupted as demonstrators in Bangkok tried to block early voting for the general election, which will take place on February 2nd. The U.S. State Department issued a statement saying it was deeply troubled by efforts to block polls and otherwise prevent voting in Thailand. State Department spokeswoman Jen Psaki said in a statement that while the U.S. does not take sides in the political dispute and strongly supports freedom of expression and the right to peaceful protest, it deems the PDRC's action preventing citizens from voting violates their universal rights and is inconsistent with democratic values. They reiterate their call for all sides to refrain from violence, exercise restraint, and commit to sincere dialogue to resolve differences peacefully and democratically. Anti-government protesters disrupted most voting in Bangkok on Sunday, raising tensions for the week ahead. The Election Commission said 440,000 people were unable to cast advance votes, as 89 of the 375 constituencies nationally were closed. The Bangkok Metropolitan Administration, or BMA, is sending a letter to the Center for Maintaining Peace and Order, or CMPO, and the Election Commission, and EC, requesting more security personnel for the election on February 2nd, following cases of polling station staff harmed in the advanced polls. BMA Permanent Secretary Ms. Nina Chalitanon said the agency would report to the EC difficulties encountered and harm done to polling station officials, many of whom were BMA's officials, on January 26th, the advanced voting day. According to her, officials were pressured by both sides, those who were for as well as those who were against the advanced voting. The report is aimed at bringing about tighter security measures during the February 2nd general election. In addition, many private businesses have shown reluctance to allow the BMA to set up polling stations on their premises due to fear of property damage. They instead prefer temporary tents to be put up as polling stations, but the BMA is concerned over the tent locations, given they will be in open areas, making it easy for protesters to attack polling station officials, most of whom are women. A letter of request will therefore be sent to the CMPO, asking for more security personnel to be deployed at all 50 district polling stations. The BMA hopes to receive an answer before January 30th in order for it to be able to begin election processes on time. The public's misunderstanding on the polling station's closing time regulations is also another concern of the agency, said Ms. Ninat, adding that they must understand that once the polling station is closed, according to regulations, it cannot reopen for additional voting. Polling station officials have been advised to clarify this point to local residents in the area. The People's Democratic Reform Committee, or PDRC, has petitioned the civil court for an order to have the emergency decree withdrawn, as well as an injunction against a protest crackdown by the government. Accompanied by a team of attorneys, PDRC core leader Thawan Seniam traveled to the civil court to file charges against Prime Minister and Defense Minister Yingluck Shinawatra, Chief of the Center for Maintaining Peace and Order Chalerm Yumamrung, and National Police Chief Adun Sangsingkeo for declaring the state of emergency in Bangkok and nearby provinces without legitimate reason. The core leader considered the emergency decree superfluous, claiming that the PDRC's protests had not been violent. He also cited the Constitutional Court's assessment that the situation had been peaceful and the gatherings were free of weapons. Therefore, the civil court was asked to issue an order for the government to revoke the special law. A temporary injunction was also requested so as to protect the protesters from any dispersal attempt by state officials. The court has decided to accept the case for deliberation. On the same day, Mr. Thawan was also summoned for testimony in an urgent hearing. The National Anti-Corruption Commission, or NACC, is preparing to deliberate the case lodged for the Prime Minister's removal from office for her failed management of the rice pledging scheme. Conclusions are expected in a couple of months. Briefing the press on the progress of the NACC's probe into the rice pledging corruption case, NACC member Wicha Mahakun said the investigative subcommittee was still in the process of questioning Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra to see if she had neglected her duties as chairman of the National Rice Policy Committee. Mr. Wicha disclosed that the commission would merge this case with another one previously filed by the opposition through the Senate, which sought to unseat the premier. Deeming rice pledging fraud as an important case involving top-ranking politicians, he explained that the merger would help speed up the investigation process. According to him, a verdict could be reached in 1 to 2 months. As for former Commerce Minister Bunsong Teriyapirom, who was previously found guilty of corruption by the NACC in the same case, Mr. Wichas said documents were being sent to him about his charges. He will be allowed to make clarifications to the commission afterwards. The northeastern province of Nong Khai and the Lao capital of Vientiane will together hold an event to celebrate 20 years of the Thai-Lao Friendship Bridge. According to the provincial deputy governor, Thanawat Ploy Sopon, the first Thai-Lao Friendship Bridge linking Nong Khai to Vientiane was officially opened on the 8th of April of 1994. On the 20th anniversary of the bridge's opening, Nong Khai and Vientiane will hold a 3-day festival from the 5th to the 7th of April. Visitors from Thailand, Laos, and other countries are invited to join in the celebration. The event will be held at Domini Beach under the Friendship Bridge. It will feature light and sound shows, Thai and Lao traditional and modern cultural shows, a trade fair, sports competitions, and a photo exhibition. Moreover, the two countries will hold a 2-country bicycle tour starting from Patu Chai or Gate of Triumph in Vientiane and then continuing to Nong Khai via the Friendship Bridge to promote touring on bike, which is a new trend for the two countries' tourism. And that's the end of our first segment. We now take a short break. Coming up next, the National Broadcasting and Telecommunications Commission has officially granted the channel numbers to all entrepreneurs. Stay tuned.
Open the world of information. Embrace public participation. Present Thainess to the world. New dimension of the government's public relations. The 80th anniversary of the Public Relations Department. Creative media for the society. Mobilizing Thailand towards the ASEAN community.
เมื่อมนุษย์ทำลายสมดุลทางธรรมชาติแล้วมนุษย์ก็เป็นผู้ประสบภัยพิบัติจากธรรมชาติร่วมสร้างอนาคตลดภัยพิบัติระดมพลังพลิกฟื้นคืนผืนป่าในทุกชุมชนทั่วประเทศ
For those who have Android smartphones, you can download a PRD News application by searching for PRD News English in Play Store. That way, you can stay up to date with the latest happenings in Thailand.
Welcome back. You're watching Newsline, and first in our business news, the National Broadcasting and Telecommunications Commission, or NBTC, has officially granted the channel numbers to all entrepreneurs who recently won the digital TV bidding, while their broadcasts are scheduled to commence on April 1st. At the Royal Thai Navy Convention Hall, the NBTC presided over a ceremony to endorse and allocate the numbers of the 24 digital TV channels to their broadcasters. Chairman of the NBTC Broadcasting Committee, Krononati Sukonrat, stated that the first half of the operational license fee would be collected from each entrepreneur in the next step, while the license was expected to be issued in late February or early March. Once the broadcasters receive their licenses, they will be required to begin airing their programs on all 24 channels on April 1st. One of the bid winners, Thairat TV, confirmed it was fully prepared for the digital broadcast system, both in terms of content and personnel. The company said it would focus on news programs and variety shows and expected this new venture to break even in 6 years. Similarly, GMM Grammy voiced readiness for its digital airing this April, saying some of its current programs broadcast via the satellite system would be made available for viewers in the digital format as well. As Chinese New Year is approaching, prices of pork in many provinces have gone up due to a slowdown in pig growth and a shortage of pork supply. In the northeastern province of Saskatchewan, an increase in the retail pork price by 20 baht per kilogram has been reported in a local fresh market, bringing the price up to 160 baht a kilo. One of the vendors admitted that the price had been on the rise for 10 days already, and the reason was the cold weather, which had delayed the growth of pigs, leading to a supply shortage in the market. In Mueang district of Yala province, a vendor said pork prices began their continuous surge last week and were likely to go even higher in the next couple of days when Chinese New Year arrives. However, the number of customers has not declined much, and the prices of vegetables are still stable. Prices of Chinese New Year offering commodities remain stable and unchanged, while business operators expect a drop in sales compared to last year due to problematic rubber prices and a sluggish economy. A Buddhist monk commodity shop in Tarang province reveals that Thais of Chinese descent are beginning to buy Chinese New Year offering commodities, but the economic atmosphere remains slow and sales have dropped compared to last year. The shopkeeper said it is due to a slow economic growth and a current drop in rubber prices. The prices of some goods remain unchanged. These include silver and gold paper, where prices range from 15 to 20 baht. Decorative lanterns are sold for 300 to 800 baht. Paper clothes for 25 to 55 baht a piece, while paper shoes cost 35 baht, and dragon incenses are sold at 15 to 160 baht per pack. Krung Thai Bank, or KTB, has denied rumors on the online social media that it is lending 160 billion baht to the government's rice pledging scheme. Warapak Thanyawong, the president of the KTB, made the statement that his bank had not been contacted by the government regarding the issue. According to him, rumors have surfaced since last week, prompting a number of its customers to inquire on the matter. He urged all to refrain from making assumptions without evidence or using the bank as a political tool. According to Mr. Warapak, KTB remains transparent in its operations as it operates under the supervision of the Bank of Thailand, Securities and Exchange Commission, and the Office of the Auditor General of Thailand. All Southeast Asian stocks plunged on Monday, with foreign investors shedding exposure to risky assets as emerging markets remained under pressure on concerns over U.S. Federal Reserve further tapering its stimulus and fears of a slowdown in China. Thailand's index fell 2% to a near two-week low, led by energy and banks amid lingering political concerns, a day after one of the leaders of anti-government protests in Bangkok was shot dead when violence erupted as demonstrators tried to block early voting on Sunday. Indonesia's Jakarta Composite Index fell 2.6% to its lowest level since January 10th, led by financial stocks. Foreign investors cut their exposure in the region's risky assets on Monday. Jakarta saw a net foreign outflow of nearly $80 million, while Malaysia suffered net foreign selling of $101 million. Thailand and the Philippines witnessed foreign outflows of $102 million and $34 million, respectively. Fed officials are seen cutting bond buying by another $10 billion at their regular two-day policy meeting beginning on Tuesday, while investors continued to fret about the impact of tightening credit conditions in China as Beijing seeks to curb growth in high-risk lending. And before our next break, let's have a look at the exchange rates and commodity prices.
Open the world of information. Embrace public participation. Present Thailand to the world. New dimension of the government's public relations. The 80th anniversary of the Public Relations Department. Creative media for the society. Mobilizing Thailand towards the ASEAN community.
เมื่อมนุษย์ทำลายสมดุลทางธรรมชาติแล้วมนุษย์ก็เป็นผู้ประสบภัยพิบัติจากธรรมชาติร่วมสร้างอนาคตลดภัยพิบัติระดมพลังพลิกฟื้นคืนผืนป่าในทุกชุมชนทั่วประเทศ
For those who have Android smartphones, you can download a PRD News application by searching for PRD News English in Play Store. That way, you can stay up to date with the latest happenings in Thailand.
Welcome back to Newsline. The Department of Disaster Prevention and Mitigation, or DDPM, reported that from December 2nd to January 26th, a total of 45 provinces have been declared cold spell disaster zones, affecting over 7.8 million people. The Meteorological Department also predicted a high-pressure cell from China will hit the upper parts of Thailand from January 27th to 30th, leading to lower temperatures in the region. According to DDPM Director General Chachai Promlet, currently 541 districts in 45 provinces have been declared disaster zones and in urgent need of assistance. The northeastern region is the hardest hit, with 20 provinces suffering from continuously low temperatures, followed by 17 provinces in the north, 7 provinces in the central region, and 1 province in the east. Warnings have also been issued as the Meteorological Department announced a high-pressure cell from China is moving to the upper parts of the country from January 27th to 30th and will hit the northeastern region first before making its way to nearby regions. The DDPM have been cooperating with local authorities to distribute warm clothing to local residents. The DDPM Director General also mentioned heavy fog in the morning during January 31st to February 1st. Motorists are warned to be cautious when driving in such conditions, as poor visibility may lead to road accidents. Those in need of assistance have been urged to call hotline 1784, that's 1784, around the clock. And that's it for today's edition of Newsline. For any comments or suggestions, please feel free to email them to us at newsline.nbt@gmail.com. And this morning we say goodbye with a spectacular Chinese New Year celebration, which was recently held in Nakhon Sawan province to mark the upcoming special occasion at the end of this week. Have a wonderful day. I'm Sandra Hanut Saha. Sawadee ka.